have a few opening comments and then questions. Dog walk this week will be 9:45. Here shortly, we're also going to announce the winners of the Joel Eves Award, which goes annually to the male and female student athlete with the highest GPA. That's a senior. I seem to remember in 1998 there was a senior football player that won that award.
Stetchel.
That was one time you got him, I think. I don't remember what that GPA was, though, do you?
No, I don't either. Hey, I don't think it was higher maths, I can assure you that.
No live streaming, please.
Well, you know, if we move on to Arkansas State, I want to make mention that this is a really, really good football team. Do a tremendous job offensively and defensively, and you could see that last night right when we flipped the page to look at them. They got some really good defensive players, explosive, quick, leading their conference in a lot of categories. I got a lot of respect for their quarterback. They've got the best wideouts and skill guys we've probably faced when it comes to combination of 3 or 4 really good receivers, experienced group up front, a lot of returning guys. They've got a couple transfers that are really good players. So when you watch them, they jump off the tape at you and explosive offensively, defensively, and special teams. So, you know, Blake's done a tremendous job with this team, this program. We know what he's had to go through, and got a lot of respect for him and what he's been through and how he's pushed through it. So a lot of respect for this team, and it's a really, really good opponent. With us kicking off at 12 o'clock, we got to get our minds right and get ready to play.
I've got remote mics. Raise your hand.
Kirby, of course, y'all are doing well in rushing again. Seems like y'all always put together good running backs. How much do you use that when it comes to recruiting and all that type of stuff? Just, you know, point out Chubb and Michelle and all those guys when you're out trying to bring in running backs, you know, every year.
I mean, it helps. I mean, I think the product of NFL players and the running backs that we have has helped us recruit. The number one thing guys look for is, will I get an opportunity? Will I grow and develop? Will they teach me a skill set that will allow me to play in the NFL, which is more than just carrying the ball, because backs in the NFL nowadays are doing less and less of that. They don't carry the ball much, they catch it, and they play on special teams. And it's not as much of a downhill run league as much as it is a outside zone, stretch, perimeter pass, play action, matchup, and special teams. And that's what we ask our backs to do. So we try to sell, number one, you're going to get a great education. Number two, you get an opportunity to carry the ball. You're going to have fresh tires when you come out because you're going to play with other good players. You got one of the best offensive line recruiters and coaches in the country. So it's a good combination sell, but it's more than just yards. It's a lot more about how I'm going to grow as a player and develop in a pro-style system.
Kirby, I don't think we had a chance to ask after the game. Isaiah Wilson, is there any timetable on him right now?
Yeah, no timetable. Not sure when. He's out of the boot. He's able to put some pressure on it. He's going to be doing some underwater running and working on some things, but no idea. He may be available this week. I have no idea. It's just going to be wait and see.
Coach, what is your assessment of Trey Hill so far, and specifically him getting the signals out to his fellow linemen, the communication skills?
Trey's doing a good job of communicating. Trey comes in and meets extra, as a center has to do, to call fronts, to get looks, to really watch tape and be the master of his trade. Jake does some of that too, so Jake helps with him. I mean, it helps having a guy that's got a lot of experience and as bright as Jake is with it. But pleased with Trey. I think Trey can really focus on giving 6 seconds of strain, is what I call it. He's got to strain longer and harder in order to improve. I mean, he's playing well, but he can play better. And that's what we're trying to get out of Trey, is his best self. And how does he get his best self? He's got to strain a little harder.
A couple more players, Kirby. DJ Daniel, I don't think was out there the other day. And also, how close is Julian Rochester able to, as far as him getting back in the field on a regular basis?
Julian's cleared. Julian's cleared completely. Julian's healthy. I mean, he's practicing, doing everything. I mean, he's got to go out and earn playing time. He's got to go out and out compete guys and work. And I don't know that he's 100% confident in himself right now. But he's coming off an ACL. It'd be like Zeus. It'd be like all those other guys that come off of those. And you're in the trenches. It's every down in, down out. You got 600 pounds on you. So. That part's up to him to earn that, and the way he plays and practices, and continue to work on it. And then there's DJ. DJ's dealing with a little bit of hamstring. It bothered him some the other day, so we ended up holding him out.
Kirby, after the game you mentioned the other day, and you said that things that are facing Mills with George and Zamir were blocks and maybe picking up blitzes and things like that. How hard is it convincing freshmen that those are the types of things that you have to do to earn more playing time?
Oh, it's not hard. That's just reality. I mean, you don't sell them. You just turn on the tape. And they realize that if I don't play, that's probably why I'm not playing. So once they understand that they can contribute on special teams and they can protect the quarterback, then they get more opportunities.
With George Pickens' blocking ability, is that something that you thought he'd be able to come in and help you guys with right away? And what have sort of been your impressions of him as a blocker so far?
Oh, he has a long way to go as a blocker. He had a good block the other day, but he's not our best blocker. I mean, he does a lot of other things well. What I've enjoyed is his willingness to block and to grow as a blocker. He's out of control in a lot of blocks. He thinks every block he's going to be able to go knock them out, and he's got to learn that they see him coming. He's not invisible, so he has to do a good job position blocking, fit up, sustain blocks, and not go for the big hit all the time. But his willingness to do it is what's allowed him to play to this point, because when he's willing to do it and he knows who to block, he's pretty good.
I know you said the O-line matchup against Murray State was obviously a little bit overmatched this past weekend, but with that being said, what did Nolan Smith do that made him so successful, and what does he still have to do against better competition?
Nolan's smart. Nolan listens. So when you give Nolan a plan and say, this is the way I want you to rush on this defense, or this is the way I want you to rush on this particular tackle, he does it. He applies what he learns. And he plays with just maximum effort. I mean, just like a wild man, hair on fire. I'm never over. And a lot of football is effort. It's not, you can take 10 5-stars and 10 3-stars, and you go out there and put one other guy on the team to make 11, and the team that plays hardest usually finds a way to win the game. And that's what Nolan does, man. He plays hard. And that makes football important to him. It allows us to play him in a lot of situational football. He's got to continue to do that, because he's going to get matched up on better and better, just like this week. He's going to play better tackles than he played last week. So he's got to use his skill set, he's got to use his trade, and he's got to understand how the defense is engineered to make it work.
Kirby, you said you wanted to watch film to assess Stetson's play. What did you see, and what are some of the areas that you're looking for growth from him? Obviously, he's just getting going in terms of PT.
Yeah, he's going to grow as a player. He continues to grow in practice. I'm looking for him to improve in all facets. I mean, his accuracy, his timing, his confidence, his points, his decision-making, a lot of things in the game. He did some good things, but he did some things that he doesn't typically do in practice, and you really can't point to why. And I think that's probably true with every quarterback. I mean, Jake had things in the game that we missed some opportunities that, why in practice did you do this, and then what made you do this different in the game, and are we giving him the right looks to make him make the right decisions? How much like the game is our practice? And I always call it a batting average. The higher you get your practice reps to just like the game, or maybe what they're doing defensively, the more accurate I think your players are going to play in the game. So we got to continue to improve that. Stetson's got to continue to improve his decision making. What do I do when I get flushed out of the pocket? Mic points, a lot of different things. But he's willing to work on it, and he's committed to that. I love the way Stetson competes in practice and the way he's growing as a player.
Coach, you spoke about the everything Blake Anderson had gone through passing his wife and all those off-the-field situations. What were your thoughts as you heard that news? And are you able to understand the balance of football coach between coaching and an off-field life, family, whatever that may entail?
Yeah, I can't even begin to fathom or understand what he's gone through. When I first heard the news, I was just, crushed for him and his family and his kids, and you can never, I can never imagine what he's having to go through, because that's really tough. Obviously, he knows family, because he made a choice to step away and to be able to go be with them, and now he's come back, and I've met Blake a couple times and just got a lot of respect for him as a person and a coach, and can't imagine what he's had to go through as far as his family, all his family, his kids and everything.
Kirby, last week, Swift said that he was taking on a new role this year as a leader. Just in me speaking to him from last year to this year, I mean, his interviews are like miles better. I'm just wondering how you've seen him grow into that role.
Yeah, he enjoys, he relishes that role. I think he understands that he is one of the inspirational players on the team. He inspires others to do more. By the way he competes on the field, the way he runs the ball, the energy he attacks practice with. He tries to set a good example for the young players. For George, I mean, George has a bonehead penalty, and Swift's one of the first guys to come over and visit with him and talk to him about it, because he knows that he can help him with that, and he knows that, that George is going to be a good player. So here's an opportunity for him to impart some of his wisdom and knowledge, and I think that Swift does that really well.
Do you tailor your practices any differently when you've got injury situations with players? I mean, is that something you take into consideration in terms of how much tackling you do versus stud?
No, we don't do a lot of tackling. We do tackle in preseason camp. We don't tackle live and a lot during the season. We don't have many opportunities. I mean, as a matter of fact, in 3 or 4 years, I don't think we've done any. So there's not a lot. It doesn't have anything to do with injuries. We don't do a lot of tackling.
Coach, in a game like Murray State, you got to see your depth on display, and in a perfect role for most of the game. What are your takeaways from seeing more of the depth chart this past Saturday?
We got some young players that need to grow. They need more experience. They probably need to value practice and understand that the reps they get in practice carry over to the game. And sometimes when you get in the game and think you're ready to play, maybe you find out you're not. And you got to go back to the drawing board, and you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what do I got to get better at, so I'm ready the next time my number gets called. And we've got guys that they've got to do that.
Kirby, is it hard to keep the guys sort of focused when you're in a stretch of games like this, where you know you're a big favorite 3 straight weeks, and obviously have a big game coming up in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks? Is it, and if you've been happy, is there any little tricks you use, or have you been happy with the focus the team has shown through this stretch?
We just don't look past today. I mean, that's the thing, is if you're focused on today and getting better at us, and I think when these guys turn on the tape like we did last night, we don't ever lie to our players. We just say, hey, this is what it is, and here it is for you to see. You be the judge. And we did that last week. We're going to do that this week. The tape speaks for itself this week. These guys are a really good football team. And y'all all sit there saying, yeah, right, whatever. This team has a really good football team. They got a really good quarterback. They got good wideouts. They've got explosive players on defense, all conference players all over the place in a conference that I got a lot of respect for.
Kirby, sort of football philosophical question, sort of havoc related. There's some people that believe turnovers have a random element to them. Have you all done research? Have you looked in the numbers and see how much you think it correlates to winning?
Turnovers correlate
the whole part, turnover margin, forcing, etc.
Turnover margin would be the greatest indicator most seasons that NFL and college teams do their studies of who wins games. That's not always the case, but it's more times than not. There have been years that explosive plays have been a greater indicator of who wins games over turnovers. And to have explosive plays, sometimes you take more risk, which in turn creates more turnovers. I do think havoc rate leads to turnovers. When you have havoc, you have more opportunities at turnovers. You look at what happens. A lot of turnovers are tackles for a loss. A lot of turnovers are sacks. So if you're having havoc tip balls, they have a higher percentage of getting intercepted. So when you start looking at havoc rate going up, turnover rate goes up. Therefore, in turn, you feel like you have a better opportunity to win statistically. But it's just not 100%. It's like nothing.
Follow up to Mike's question on tackling. There's been such a focus on avoiding contact and preserving the bodies of the athletes. Do you think the skill of tackling has been suffering lately?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think tackling's always been a tough art to conquer. I mean, if it was perfect, everybody would do it, and everybody's looking for a better way. You look for a safer way, and at the end of the day, football's a contact sport. It's a tough sport, and you want to be a good tackler, you got to practice tackling. Every coach is trying to create moving dummies, donuts, things that are moving, because it's only realistic when you're hitting something moving. But best way to tackle is to practice the art of tackling against people. We don't tend to tackle to the ground a lot, but we do a ton of what we call thud, which is essentially putting yourself in a position to make a tackle without tackling. And a lot of times, and Mel Tucker used to say it all the time, it's harder to thud than it is to tackle, because tackling, you get the opportunity to go to the ground. Thud, you got to try to stay up. So we coach thud, and we try to do a good job. Sometimes it probably hurts us in a game because a guy thuds and doesn't tackle. But those habits have got to be broken, and every team in America could tell you today they need to be a better tackling team.
Back to the turnovers, any strategies you're implementing in practice, and like how do you go about trying to reduce those from Saturday's game? Were you concerned at all from watching the tape from those turnovers?
I'm always concerned about turnovers. I mean, turnovers are part of our game, and you don't ever not concern yourself with turnovers. We do a bunch of turnover circuits with the guys on each other. And, we created 2 and we gave away 2, so we came out net even. The 2 we gave away, I think both of them are preventable, and a lot of turnovers are not. Zamir's was probably tough the week before with a turnover, but it was a fumble. And sometimes those things happen when guys make great plays. Look at Mark Webb's. I mean, Mark Webb put his hat right on the ball and exploded the ball out, very similar to what happened to Wolf. So they're part of the game. How do you prevent them? You emphasize it. You talk about ball security. You do everything you can to create those environments with your scout teams. And we do a lot of that, and we try to promote and reward players who get turnovers and to try to get it to happen more.
Have you taken any time yet this season to look at what other teams are doing just outside of those that are on your schedule to see if there's any trends or any ideas that you might?
Yeah, we have quality control guys that get every offensive touchdown in the NFL, every offensive touchdown in our league, every defensive sack, every defensive pressure, and we have people that go through those to watch them, and then on Sundays we bring them in and see if they can relate to us or give us something that we don't have, or if it's a good idea. So we're constantly in pursuit of getting better, and you can't just look at your tape and the team you're playing's tape. We're trying to see what somebody else is doing that might be better.
Well, you talked a little bit about Swift's leadership, but specifically to Zamir White, how much help do you think he was in getting them ready for the season?
How much help was Swift getting Zamir ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a confidence standpoint of show you how, DeAndre does a good job of that. Zamir is a self-motivated person. He doesn't need someone to come in and motivate him or tell him. He's driven by the fact that he's been through some tough injuries. He's worked his tail off. I mean, he's a self-starter. He's motivated in and of himself. I don't think he needs Brian Herrion or DeAndre Swift. I think that he's a great kid that's motivated to do things well, and he's getting better each week.
How do you think Notori Johnson's transition is to defensive line, and when you see guys playing that haven't been in too many games, when you watch the film in the second half, do you see a guy that, hey, maybe we need to think about getting him in earlier, or does practice usually indicate all that?
Yeah, I mean, when you go against Trey Hill every day for 50 snaps, it usually makes you better. And he gets to go a lot against Trey. He goes with our 2s in practice. He goes with our 3s in practice. He gets a lot of reps. I was very happy that he got to play the other day, and he's busted his tail to get an opportunity to. And we'll continue to work him there, and if he's the best guy, then he'll play.
Coach, obviously you have a considerable football support staff. I'm just wondering from a process standpoint, you got Arkansas State this week, but obviously people are working on games that you have coming down the road, including Notre Dame. Can you give an idea what that looks like? I mean, is there an individual who is assigned mainly Notre Dame, or is it broken up by offense, defense, and what are they doing like this week?
Nobody in our building is going to be working on Notre Dame this week. We won't have anybody working on Notre Dame this week. That's not our focus. I got too much respect for this team and too much respect for how they play. We're not working on Notre Dame this week.
Coach, James Cook, I guess, might get overlooked because he's not exactly the running back that Zamir or Swift are where they line up. Your assessment on how y'all have used him and his play so far this season?
James has created a great asset for us. I mean, he's very versatile. He can line up in the backfield and run zone plays. He can get downhill power. He can bounce outside. He can be a slot receiver. He can be a rocket guy. He can block. James does a lot of good things, and one of his best redeeming qualities is his toughness. He runs the ball tough, and he's done a good job. Continues to improve his ball security, and we knew this last year. He was one of our better players last year. He was coming into his own in understanding of what kind of roles he had to do and understanding the offense. And that's a growth and maturity process, which he's been able to do. And as he continues to be able to do more, we want to be able to use him more.
2 more questions? 1 more? Okay, we got 2. Go ahead.
Coach, how is the newly approved facility that was approved Friday going to impact how the team plays in the future?
Yeah, it's going to be a tremendous asset for us when you start looking at the location here, what they're able to do. This team meeting room, I think, is the 13th in the SEC in numbers of chairs and seats inside it. The weight room opportunity, we're going to be able to work our whole team and not have to do 3 and 4 workouts where you have smaller groups in there. We'll be able to have 2 groups or 1 group if we want to with the size of our weight room. So it's going to create a lot of benefits for our players being able to use the facility and also help in recruiting.
I was going to ask you with DeJuan Mathis, is there a time, like, several weeks out that you all anticipate he'll be cleared, or how do you plan for
Day to day, every day I ask.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm going to ask again, and hopefully one day he's going to be cleared and we're going to be able to take him out there and play, but I don't have a set timeline like, hey, week 7 he's going to be able to go out there and do this. He's been able to do more and more each and every week, and we continue to grow that from 7-on-7 to scout work to throwing. He does a little bit more each time, but he's not cleared yet.
Thank you.